Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Katie Cray on YouTube and on Instagram, and I basically make videos about sewing. Welcome to this channel if you are new. Thank you ever so much if you've subscribed to my channel since my last video. I really appreciate it. And obviously thank you if you have been a subscriber since my very first video. I really enjoy talking to you guys in the comments. Thank you so much for the likes. And yes, just thank you ever so much for listening to whatever I have to say about my sewing. So this video is a little bit special. It has officially been 3 years since I started sewing. So I was just thinking the other day, why not make a video about the fact that I've been sewing for 3 years? And actually, there's this really nice YouTuber who I discovered not long ago. So she's an American YouTuber, and her name is Rachel Stewart. Just going to triple check that. Yeah, Rachel Stewart. And I watched a video that was basically summarizing everything she's been sewing for the last couple of years. I will link her video in the description box because I was definitely very inspired by her videos. I really liked how she was showing us her makes and how her sewing style has progressed throughout the month she's been sewing. So yeah, that really inspired me, and I thought I'm going to do year 3 of sewing, basically. So I've got my little notebook, which I got at WH Smith. I think it's really cute. Look at this. How cute is this? I actually wish this was a fabric. This print was on a fabric. It's really sad, isn't it, that I've reached that point. So I am at the moment going a little bit crazy because I am on the fabric ban. And it's almost been 3 weeks, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been 3 weeks. I think the last couple of days, I think I put day 17 or day 18 on my Instagram, and just basically just shared with anyone who's following me on Instagram how excruciating this was. I'm not going to lie, it has been hard, but at the same time, I feel like it is becoming easier and easier. I think my brain is getting used to the fact that I'm not buying fabric anymore. And I think, yeah, this is becoming something normal, sort of. Yes, I definitely think that I need to try and stick to the 3 month. So next week it is going to be 1 month, and I have a couple more months to last because I've given myself 3 months. I will obviously let you know as soon as I've basically purchased fabric, and that's the end of the fabric ban. But at the moment, I am managing, and I've not bought a single fabric the last 3 weeks. And it's been really hard because it is summer. I think the summer prints are absolutely gorgeous. And I think I much prefer to sew for summer. So summer/autumn, that's my favorite type of garments to sew. So yeah, it's really hard. And if I manage to not buy a single fabric at the end of my fabric ban, I will definitely make a video about how I managed to do that. I am basically trying to remember to write down all the things, all the tips and tricks that are basically helping me with this fabric ban. So yeah, hopefully I will make a video about this, but we'll have to see if I do manage to not buy any fabric. And I'm not so sure about that. But we'll see. We will see. I will definitely keep you updated, guys. I have written down a few questions just to help me remembering what it is that we are talking about today, because you know me, I get sidetracked and then, yeah, just get lost, basically. So the first question is, when and why did I start sewing? So I started sewing in August 2021. I was almost 8 months pregnant with my baby. And I had been watching quite a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of a lot of knitting podcasts. So I had started knitting again that year. I've always been knitting on and off. I've not knitted in a long time, actually. I think the last couple of years I've not finished anything. But I used to knit on and off. And yeah, I was watching all those knitting podcasts, so French knitting podcasts. And one of the YouTuber I was following was also sewing. She was doing knitting and sewing. And when I realized that actually she could sew amazing garments, I immediately thought to myself, oh, I definitely want to do that. I definitely want to sew as well. I'm not sure what really made me want to give it a go, but I know she was definitely part of the reason. So she was a French YouTuber, and then there was another French-speaking YouTuber who had the most amazing garments. Like she was sewing the sort of garments I would love to be able to sew and to wear. Those two sewing channels really, really made me want to sew. And I had a sewing studio right next to my house. So I actually decided to go there with a sewing machine that I bought after watching hours and hours of YouTube videos to tell me what machine to buy. And I actually recommend you do that if you're starting off sewing. Yeah, how to choose a beginner sewing machine. Basically, there's quite a few videos out there. So I went to this lovely studio and I basically had my first sewing lesson. This lovely sewing teacher basically showed me how to sew a tote bag, and I will never forget this first lesson. I will never forget the feeling of holding this bag after I think an hour of sewing. Um, I will never forget that feeling, and I still have that bag actually. I don't know where it is in my flat, but I still have that bag. So I'm going to put pictures here and then as I'm talking. And then you can see what make I'm referring to on the screen. And from that sewing lesson, I managed to sew a tote bag and a couple more accessories, one of them with a zip. And yeah, I was really having fun the next few weeks just doing that. And then I had my son. And any mum who's watching this right now, you'll know what the newborn phase is. I'm talking about the newborn. Let's just be realistic here. The first few months, um, I basically forgot about sewing. Sewing was gone. And then I think it was 6 months in that my partner basically said to me, I think you need to start sewing again. Yeah, I was going pretty insane, 100%. It is a tough time, you know. It is a really tough time. Anyway, here we go, getting sidetracked again. So I got my sewing machine out, and actually, before I got my sewing machine out, I went to my first Stitch Festival in London. So that was March 2022, and oh my god, I'll never forget. I was so I did some workshops. That was really, really good. I actually started to sew my first garment during the workshop. So I talk about this a little bit more in my beginner makes video. So I'll put a link for that video somewhere here. But yeah, I started sewing my first garment during one of the workshops, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was so nice to talk to other people who sew as well. I just really enjoy it. But I'm laughing because I will never forget the look on my partner's face when I came back from that festival with all the fabrics that I bought. And you know what? I think that most of us, when we start sewing at the very, very beginning, when we start learning how to sew, we just buy so many fabrics. I know I'm not the only one, and you know that. You know that I'm not the only one. But honestly, I came back from that show with, I think, at least 15 fabrics. And half of them, I had no clue what I was going to make with them. I think most of them actually I had no clue what I was going to make with them. I had never sewn a garment. So remember, this is me going to that show, and I have never sewn a single garment. But I still came back home with 15 fabrics. Never mind. I'm just thinking about this now and laughing. Um, and if I find the picture, because I remember taking pictures of how many fabrics I had bought and just being in real shock, because I actually went to, I think, both the Saturday and the Sunday, or the Thursday and the Friday, I can't remember. But yeah, I think that out of the 4 days, I went to at least two. I think so. But yeah, if I find the pictures, I will put them on the screen for you. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure I've got them somewhere. Um, so yeah, I think this was really, really interesting as an experience, because it gave me so much joy after all this month without touching my sewing machine to go to that show. I really enjoyed it. I think it'll always be a great memory for me. Um, so from that workshop where I had started to sew my first garment, I actually finished this garment at home. So I'll put pictures of the garment. It's the Maisie sweater. by Sew Girl, I think. Yeah, Sew Girl. And yeah, I was really proud of myself. I was really proud of myself when I finished this garment. I thought it was going to be really complicated because it had a hoodie, and actually it wasn't bad at all. Obviously, now being more experienced, I do realize how easy that make was, but at the time, it didn't feel that way. And then, yeah, from then on, I never stopped really. The next question is, what has sewing brought in my life? So I definitely will say that sewing for me is the creative outlet that I need because I have a very logical slash intellectual sort of job, and sewing is very intellectual when you think about it. You use your brain a lot, but the creative side of it I don't have in my day-to-day job. So for me, that's the first thing. It's something that's really creative that I can do with my hands, and I'm not in front of a screen, which I think is great given how much time we spend in front of our phones. I believe this is actually one of the reasons we buy so much fabric, guys, but just my 2 cents. So being creative is definitely one of the most important things that sewing has brought into my life. The other thing is that it is an escape for me because obviously being a mom and working full time, I don't get a lot of me time. But when I do, sewing just really, really, really helps me completely disconnect from my day. If I've had a stressful day at work, or if it's been a tough evening with a little one, then sewing just helps me to forget about my day and just basically. I remember I've heard someone talking about the fact that it's a bit like meditation in a way because your mind is completely focused on what you're doing. And I do agree with that. I mean, I do listen to podcasts when I sew, not all the time. Like when I'm doing something where I actually need all my brain cells on, I do turn off the podcast. But if it's like something like hemming, which I will tell you more about hemming in a minute. Um, I put the podcast on. But yeah, no, I think it's a great escape from my reality. Put it that way. Um, the other thing I really like about sewing is the fact that I go from basically A to B, so I can start a project and finish it, and it feels like I've completed something. That I've managed to finish something because I feel like as parents, especially, it feels like the job is never really finished. It feels like you've never really completed anything or achieved anything in the sense that we are constantly having to look after our little one, and there's constantly things to do around them. And to me, it never feels like I've really managed to do everything I wanted to do during that day because it's simply impossible. It's just impossible to do everything you had on your to-do list for that day or that week or that month. There's just so much going on, which is why I love sewing, because I'm actually completing something. I am finishing something that I started, and that really, really helps me, guys. So I'm a very selfish sewist. I have realized that. I mean, this year I've sewn for one of my friend's baby girl. Yeah, I've sewn for that one baby girl. And I think it is due to the fact that last year and the year before, I did sew for other people. Not many garments. I think I sewed probably 5 or 6, maybe. But for some reason, it feels like I have sewn a million garments for other people. I mean, sewing is not like an easy hobby. I don't know how to explain myself properly. It does take a lot of your time and effort, and I very carefully select the people I sew for. Don't get me wrong. And while I'm talking to you, I'm realizing that I'm going to have to sew a couple of things for my nephew very soon. So yeah, I just think that sewing for other people doesn't bring me the joy that sewing for myself does. And that's okay, that's fine. I'm not going to force myself to sew for other people if it doesn't bring me joy. Obviously, in certain circumstances, it does bring me a lot of joy. So 2 years ago for Christmas, I did sew matching pajama tops for my partner and my little one, and I actually really enjoyed doing that. I've been meaning to sew the bottoms for the last year and a half now, It has not happened yet because I didn't sew for Christmas last year. And obviously by now my little one has outgrown his pyjama top, but never mind. So that means I'm going to have to sew another pyjama top and 2 trousers. But I'm going to try to do that for this Christmas coming. But I'm not promising anything. I've stopped promising anything to my partner. Little one is too small to understand any of it. And that's probably why sewing for him is quite nice, because he doesn't really have an opinion at the moment. But yeah, no, my partner, bless him, I've stopped promising anything for him. But I have a few projects in mind, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens. So yeah, I am a selfish sewist, and that's fine. I can live with that. It's fine. One thing that sewing did bring to my life is fabric addiction. You know, I'm a fabric addict, and that's okay. You know, I'm a fabric addict, and yeah, that's what it is. It's an addiction. I've accepted it. Yeah, that's probably the only negative, and I don't even know if you can call it a negative. I guess it is a negative when my bank account is not very happy about my fabric purchases, you know, or when I have to hide them because I know that that particular month just went bonkers, basically. But anyway, this are probably all the things that sewing has brought into my life, and I'm so grateful for the fact that I started sewing. The next question is, what did I learn in the last 3 years? So I think there's 2 things. I think the first one is the fact that obviously we're constantly bombarded with patterns, and I think obviously all of us have different body shapes, and all of them are beautiful. It doesn't matter whether you are an A or a V or a W, whatever letter they like to use for our body shapes. But I do think that not all patterns work with all body shapes. You know, I believe that some of them do, some of them definitely do. But I think learning what types of garment work the best with my body shape was definitely a great thing to learn. And I definitely think that I learned that through trial and error. I remember in the past I have chosen patterns that didn't really suit me. I didn't think my body looked good in those patterns, in this type of clothes, you know. And yeah, throughout the month and throughout the years, I just realized, and I think I'm at a stage in my sewing journey where I just know straight away whether something is going to work or not. And just to give you an idea, so I am with the letter system, I'm probably between like a slight V and a H. So I feel like my shoulders are slightly wider than my hips. But then some people say that they are aligned. So I think I'm right in between, you know. I think I'm on the edge of a V. Here we go. I'm on the edge of a V. So in terms of pattern, in terms of type of garment, I'm going to need something that doesn't have too much. I'm touching my mic again. I'm going to need something that doesn't have too much going on around the top of the garment, but it can definitely have a lot going on past my waist, because that gives me hips, if that makes sense. And then I would also need something that marks my waist, just to give it a bit more balance between the top and the bottom, if that makes sense. So I would never go for a dress, for example, with really big sleeves, for example, like massive sleeves. I love a big sleeve though. And then nothing going on at the bottom, because it would literally give me like a V shape. And then there's nothing wrong with a V shape. If you want to achieve a V shape, if you are V shaped, then there's nothing wrong with you. This is just me sharing what works for me and what I like. So I love, I just love when the top and the bottom are a lot more even. So when I choose a pattern, I always try to think about what would work for my body shape, if that makes sense. And yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you. The second thing I've learned is definitely to do with fabric. So I've talked about patterns. Now, when it comes to fabrics, again, we are being bombarded with fabrics, left, right, and center. And I realized that I was very much influenced by what I was seeing on Instagram. So When I first started sewing, I was buying fabrics because I had seen it on Instagram or watching vloggers, not because I really liked it, you know, especially the first few months when you're trying to learn what sort of fabrics you like, what do you like to sew with. I think I'm at a point now where obviously I think we're always influenced by what other people are sewing. In a way or another, we influenced each other, and I think it's a great thing, 100%. But I think I'm at a stage now where I exactly know what I like, and it's such a nice spot to be in because I don't get sidetracked with what everyone else is buying, and I just buy the fabrics I like, you know, and I know that 100% these are fabrics that I'm going to sew and I am going to love wearing. But I think you reach that stage once again you've chosen the wrong fabric for a project, or you've sewn a fabric that you basically hated sewing. But you can only learn by actually trying those fabrics, you know, by trying to make garments with fabrics you actually realize you don't really like. But I think that's the beauty of learning how to sew and learning what type of fabrics you like, what type of patterns you like. I think that this is what sewing is about. If you think about it, we're constantly learning and evolving, and yeah, I love it. I just love it. Absolutely love it. The next question is, what is your favorite type of garment to sew? I am going to say dresses. I love dresses. I love a dress for a few reasons, and the most important one being that I don't have to think about a top or a bottom to basically match the top or the bottom I want to wear. I have one piece of garment to basically put on, and I think this is, yeah, just in this very crazy life that I have, not having to make that extra decision is amazing. That's the first reason why I love dresses. But then, yeah, I love dresses. I just love, and I think I wasn't wearing that many dresses before I started sewing, but now that I sew and that I really enjoy sewing dresses in particular, I do wear them a lot more often, you know. And talking about dresses, I've not said anything about what I'm wearing today, but actually, I'm not going to, because this is freshly off the sewing machine and it's going to be part of the few makes I'm going to talk about in my next video. But I know some of you will definitely know what dress I'm wearing, 100%. Yeah, so dresses, that's my answer. What has been the most difficult project I have sewn so far? Definitely the Sew Over It Xanthi skirt. The first massive mistake was to use corduroy. I don't know why. I thought corduroy would be a great idea for my first denim skirt, sort of like denim style skirt. Um, this was the hardest project I've ever sewn. I had never sewn a fly zip before. I never know if it's fly zip or zip fly. I think it's fly zip. I'm really sorry if it isn't. I will correct myself on the screen. Um, this was such an incredible project for me because, yeah, I'd never sewn so many of the features on this skirt, but I learned so much. Sew Over It instructions are the absolute best. So on that front, that will be super helpful for you to start your first skirt with them. And then they also have tutorials on their website. So yeah, I definitely recommend this skirt as a first skirt if you want to try denim style skirt, basically. What are my top 3 favorites makes? I was scrolling through my Instagram and I was trying to think about this one, and I think the first one would have to be the Estella dress by Papercut Pattern. Sorry, I love this dress so much. I need to make another one. Just thinking about it, I need to make another one, guys. Absolutely stunning. I just, yeah, love it. The next one I have to say is the Blossom dress by Fibermid, which I believe I've talked about in my latest sewing makes video. Oh, I've made 2 versions and I love this pattern so much. My latest version I actually took with me on holiday and I absolutely loved wearing it. I'm definitely going to make another version, 100%. Love this pattern so much. My last one would be the Silk Cami Top by Sew Over It, simply because this particular top, I remember, was the first time I was trying French seams. And I really loved how the garment looked so clean from the inside. I just loved that. I think it was also my first facing. I've never put a facing on, and it was such a quick project. I was so impressed with myself. I thought, this literally looks like a top I would have bought from a shop, you know. Yeah, I just remember that feeling of being really proud of what I had sewn, and I just love how this top is finished. I think it looks beautiful, and I definitely think I need to make another one because yeah, I love this top. I have also made two versions, and hopefully I have pictures. So yeah, I think these were my top three. I mean, there's many other makes that I absolutely love, but when I answered the question in my head, those three were the ones that came up. But I'm sure on another day I might have said something else. Who knows? This is the beauty about sewing. We have so many patterns that it's literally impossible to keep track. But I think that's amazing. That is so amazing. So the next question is related to the sewing process itself. So we start by tracing off a pattern all the way to sewing a garment. And for me personally, what I really enjoy um, within that process, my favorite step is before I even start tracing off my pattern, it's when I have to choose a fabric for my pattern or choose a pattern for my fabric. However I do it, this particular step, way before I start the whole process of sewing the garment, this is what I love the most. When I'm going through my fabrics, thinking about which patterns I have, that's my favorite part. That's my favorite part. And then my least favorite step is definitely tracing off the pattern and put all the notches. I just hate it so much. I like the sewing part when it goes well. I like it. But no, tracing off the pattern is the worst. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite part and what is your least favorite part, because I am very interested to know. And then when it comes to the actual sewing, I absolutely love making gathers. I love gathering my fabric. I love ruffles. I love ruffles. I love sewing a ruffle. That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. What I hate the most when it comes to sewing is hemming. And I have no idea why, because yeah, it's the easiest step and I absolutely hate it. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with hemming. I really don't know, guys. But yeah, this is it. This is what I hate the most. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. What is your favorite sewing step and what is your least favorite? So I thought that it would be nice to go through my Instagram page from the very beginning of my sewing journey. And I'll basically be sharing pictures as I'm talking about some of the makes. I don't think I'll go through every single one of them, but yeah, I just thought it would be nice to go through what has been going on in the last 3 years, you know, just reflect on it. So obviously I have mentioned the tote bags and the accessories that I sewed at the beginning of this video, but if I didn't put any pictures, I will put them now. Um, yeah, I think those projects are very good for beginners, but I also think that they're a little bit boring. I mean, I'm sorry, if you love sewing accessories and that's your thing, please don't take this personally. I love sewing garments. That's what I love sewing. And some people love sewing accessories and they cannot be bothered with sewing garments, and that's okay. For me personally, I think that if you love sewing garments, don't sew bags as a first project. Sew a garment, basically. And that's what I'm trying to say. No shade to anyone who loves sewing bags, because some people can sew incredible bags out there, and I'm completely not capable of doing that. So please don't take this personally. And obviously, I was knitting a little bit still at the time, so I'm going to show you a few knitting projects as well as I'm talking, so you can have a look at that. I did enjoy knitting, well, especially while I was pregnant. It was very relaxing, you know, as a hobby. I think knitting is way more relaxing than sewing. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, as I said, I've not knitted in a very long time. And then yes, so as I said, I did sew my first hooded jumper, but I also sewed a couple of dresses roughly at the same time. So I'll put pictures of these, and they were actually dresses that you had to trace off the pattern on the fabric. So there was no pattern to trace off. You were actually drawing the pattern on the fabric, which is, I think it's freehand sewing. I think you call it freehand sewing in English. And that was really fun actually. But the fact that these were like the first projects I made, that really tells you that you can do a lot when you're just starting off sewing. You know, I think we really underestimate ourselves. I really think we do. And then I did sew my first Buddha pattern quite early in my sewing journey. It was this lovely dress with a tie belt, and I was so worried because it was a Buddha pattern, and I had heard so many bad things about Buddha. But it was actually the Buddha magazine, the individual Buddha patterns that you buy in the little envelopes. They're actually not bad at all. I sewed this dress. I basically sewed this dress when I had been sewing for a few months, if actually maybe a few weeks. I can't remember. It's all a blur. But I know it was really early in my sewing journey, and I was so happy with this make. Yeah, I loved it so much. And then I also sewed my first Pissy Bow blouse by Sew Over It. Really, really enjoyed sewing this. Um, I think it's the one I was wearing in my previous video, actually. I really enjoyed that. It just felt like, again, I had that feeling of it could be a pattern, it could be, sorry, a garment I bought in a store. I loved it. I did do a really bad job at finishing the collar. It's absolutely horrific. I still wear it. I still wear it, and I laugh when I see the inside of my garment. I mean, I'm not the best at finishing properly my garments. I definitely have a lot to learn on that, because my reasoning is no one's saying that. And I know it's bad, it's lazy. I think I am a lazy sewist. I think I am. Oh yeah, that is actually a Christmas gift that I made for the lovely ladies who were looking after my little one at nursery. So I made 3 of these. So matching tote bag and tote bag. So the tote bag pattern I got from my sewing lesson, and I found a lanyard tutorial. And I basically made that for them, and I made 3 of them. They were so, so happy, and I was actually really pleased with them. They did look really good. So as I said, I find sewing accessories quite boring. Again, personal preference. And it doesn't mean that it won't change, you know. You need to keep an open mind. But I loved making the first one. I actually really enjoyed making the first one. And then by the time I was halfway through the second one, so it was 3 different sets with obviously 3 different fabrics. By the time I was going through the second one, which was the exact same patterns, I absolutely hated it. I was already bored. And it makes sense because I was doing the exact same patterns. And then, yeah, the third one was absolutely excruciating. But by then, I had no choice but carrying on. You know, I was not going to offer this to just one of the 3 ladies. You know, that was not going to happen. So I had no choice. I felt trapped. You know, it was excruciating. I hated it. But I was so happy with my makes and basically gifting them to those lovely ladies because they were absolutely incredible with my son. And I'm so pleased I did that. Last year, I didn't do anything for Christmas for the ladies at nursery. I think the reason, part of the reason, is that I wasn't as close to the ladies he was with last year, sorry. And he changed quite a bit as well, so we didn't really have time to really bond. I'm just trying to find excuses now. But no, this is partly the truth, but also, yeah, I just felt really lazy. I didn't want to do anything, so just give them chocolates. This is so lazy. But this year, again, he's changed. He's changed baby groups. So I don't know the ladies, and I don't think that by Christmas we will have bonded in the same way I did during his very first year at nursery. And then I'll have a good excuse not to sew anything again. But I love this little gifts I made for baby's first year at nursery. So yeah, that was really nice. I've done a little bit of embroidery, so I'm going to put a picture of my. I was going to say my latest one, the only one I finished basically. I like embroidery. I find it really relaxing again. I don't think sewing is relaxing. I don't know what you guys think, but I don't think it is a very rewarding hobby, but I don't think it's very relaxing. What do you guys think? I guess it depends what you're doing. Yeah, I don't know. So I've made 3 different Freya tops by Sew Over It because I absolutely love this pattern. I've just really enjoyed sewing this. They're very easy to sew if you are a beginner and you want a nice quick project. I love it. I just love this top. I think it's beautiful, and yeah, I'm showing you all 3 versions that I've worn them at work. I love them. I just love them, and it's such a comfy, just such a comfy top to wear during autumn or winter. Really like it. This is a simplicity top that I made from, again, one of those big 4 patterns, or individual ones, big 5, sorry, which is gathered at the back. And I remember making that on the nights before I was going back to work. I just wanted to have a handmade top for my first day back at work after my maternity leave. And I was really pleased with it. I really liked it. And obviously, no one made any comment. And I remember this. I was so happy that no one made any comment about this top, because to me, it meant that it looked like something I would have bought, would have bought from a store. So no one said anything. I was worried that anyone would say, where did you get that from? What is this? So I was really, really happy that basically no one noticed anything. Yeah, that was actually great. And then this is my Pattern Emporium Grab a Copper cardigan, which I absolutely love. I've made a couple of versions of this. There will be more versions, 100%. And you also have my first and only Buddha pattern that I sewed from a Buddha magazine. Now, this is really important for anyone who's watching this part, anyone who's made it until now, and who also sews, Buddha magazine patterns. Please, please, please tell me how on earth you choose your size. Please, even if it takes 20 pages to explain that to me, because I have got at least 20 magazines, 20 Buddha magazines in my house, and this is the only pattern I have sewn. I got the size wrong because I basically didn't sew a pattern that fitted my body shape. Please, please tell me, please, if you watch this part, just tell me how on earth you choose your size in the Buddha magazines. And then, as I mentioned earlier in this video, I've also sewn a few baby garments for my friends, and also for my baby, actually, mainly pajamas for him. But I've sewn a couple of cute dresses for my friend's baby girl. So I'll put some pictures here. Most of these are from, unfortunately, French magazines, so French sewing magazines. There will be a few Ottobre patterns as well, mainly the pajamas, my son's pajamas. Oh, I love this dress. I love this dress so, so much. And I've not worn it once because in the meantime I've put on weight, unfortunately. But absolutely love this dress. It is the Sew Over It layer dress. I'm definitely going to make this again probably in a bigger size, because it's really tight, and I love my big meals, as you know. So, it doesn't work for me, unfortunately. I'm going to make another version. The only thing, I'm going to have to trace the pattern off again, and it's a panelled skirt, and there's so many pieces. Anyway, I know you know how I feel. I know you do. I also sew this lovely, how do you call this? Duster. I think you call it a duster, in a satin fabric that I got from Dream Fabrics. There are fabric sales. There are a live fabric sales Facebook page, and I love this satin fabric so much, and I'm so glad I managed to turn it into this lovely duster. It's from So Sweet Patterns, and it is the Harmony duster. I think it's so, so cute. Really like it. And then one of the makes I was hesitating to put in the top 3. And I think the only reason it's not in the top 3 is because I'm not a massive fan, of wrap dresses. I love the look of them. I think they're beautiful. But the practicality of having everything out as soon as there's some wind, I just struggle with. That's the thing. Or even when you sit down and the dress opens up, I just struggle with wrap dresses. I know some people do a couple of stitches to hold the fabric together, and maybe that's what I would need to do. But yeah, if you have any tips for me for that, please let me know, because I love a wrap dress. I love it, but I just don't find it very practical. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, if you have any other tips, please share them with everyone. But this dress, the floor dress by Bella Loves Pattern, is absolutely stunning. I just I've seen so many versions from the Baker That Sews. If you don't know her channel, I'm sure you do know her channel. Liz, she has the most beautiful versions of this pattern. And yes, it is Bella Loves Patterns. I wasn't too sure, but yeah. I love the ruffles. You know, I love a ruffle. And this dress has ruffles everywhere, on the shoulders, at the bottom. I love it. It's so gorgeous, so gorgeous. It took me so long to trace off this pattern. It was, yeah, it was just crazy. Um, I think there were like 17 or 18 pieces. Anyway, it was a nightmare. And it was not the quickest sew ever. You know, it took me, yeah, I think it took me quite a while to get to the end. I am sweating. It's mad. It is so warm, so warm. I'm not going to complain. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. So my mic died, and I've got to refilm this part of my video, and it is so frustrating, but I can do this. I am going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to redo this. Luckily, I was very close to the end. Can you imagine if my mic had died at the beginning of this video? It has been an hour at least of me filming this. I probably wouldn't have done it again, to be honest. Right, so we had stopped at the floor dress, and I was basically trying to tell you that I absolutely loved this dress once it was all done. I just think it's one of the most beautiful patterns I have seen on Instagram, and I think the only reason it wasn't in my top 3 was because of the fact that it was a long project, and it wasn't the easiest. I think for my level of sewing, when I sewed this, I think it was very borderline. You know, I think I was definitely out of my comfort zone, but now I think I would be completely fine to sew it. And I will do another version. I will make another version 100%. Yeah, I just need the tips for wrap skirts because it just annoys me. And actually, I think this was the end. Oh no, one last project I want to talk about is my Billy jumper. So I basically sewed this jumper for the Stitch Festival in March. I have actually made a video about this this festival, so I'll put a link on the screen if you want to know what I bought when I went in March. I love this pattern. It's the Billy jumper by Tilly and the Button, and I made it as a dress. I love how it looks with that particular fabric. And what was really nice was that the seller of that fabric was actually exhibiting at the show, and he recognized the fabric. And I basically said, yes, I bought it from you last year. And I made this with it, and he thought it looked really nice. It looked really nice. So yeah, that was really nice. Actually, I did enjoy that bit during the festival. And I love this dress, this jumper dress. Don't even know what to call it. I've made it a lot longer than what Tilly recommends for the longer version of this jumper. I love it. Really like it. So I think that was the last project I wanted to talk about. The most recent project that you can see on my Instagram page, I have talked about in my Sewing Makes videos. So yeah, hopefully you'll have a lot more information on YouTube if you want to hear about the patterns and how I found sewing them. So yeah, I think I'll stop here. So thank you ever so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you had a good time listening to me rambling about my sewing in the last 3 years. It's been really nice for me to reflect on the last 3 years, to be honest. I've really enjoyed thinking about how I used to buy fabric, how I used to choose my pattern versus how I do it now. I think back in the days it was more of a can I sew it question rather than do I like this? And it's so nice to be at a stage in my sewing journey where I feel like I can potentially sew everything. I'm still very cautious when it comes to coats and jackets. I've not really sewn any of that. I literally just sewed my first t-shirt with not t-shirt, sorry, my first shirt with an actual collar, an actual shirt collar. And that has been something that has scared me for the longest, and I'm so glad that I finally gave it a go. And to be honest, I think it went quite well. I think one of the makes that I will be showing you in my next video about my latest makes, there will be one of the shirts actually, if I manage to finish it on time for the video. I think it's been such an amazing journey learning how to sew and being able to now wear my garments when I go out. It's just incredible. I don't think I thought I would be able to do that in a short amount of time. I think the first garment I actually managed to wear outside, I had only been sewing for a few months, even less actually. Yeah, a few weeks, I think. So yeah, I think don't underestimate yourself. If I can do it, you can definitely do it. And yeah, for anyone who's a more experienced sewist, I hope that this was interesting and will inspire you to reflect on what you've been sewing and how you do things now. Please feel free to share in the comments below anything you would like to share with me. I always love talking to you in the comments, and I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye.